In a boundless stretch of wild grasslands, two lions, a male and a female, had roamed freely for years. They were a powerful duo, hunting side by side across endless plains, their lives intertwined with the pulse of the untamed world. But as the seasons shifted, their once plentiful home grew harsh. Water sources dwindled, prey became scarce, and the vibrant landscape faded into a challenging expanse. Faced with these trials, the lions resolved to abandon their familiar territory and seek a new sanctuary, a place where they could rebuild their lives. Their journey spanned hundreds of kilometers, a grueling odyssey marked by hunger and tense encounters with rival predators. Each night, the male lion stood sentinel, his silhouette stark against the dark, while the female rested, storing energy for the relentless path ahead. After weeks of wandering, their sharp senses detected the faint promise of fresh water and the distant aroma of wild creatures. They arrived at a sprawling reserve, a land of sweeping grasses and thriving ecosystems. The lions prowled their new domain, noses low to the ground, threading through the tall blades. They glimpsed oddities, vehicles rumbling faintly, fences slicing the terrain, but these enigmas remained beyond their grasp. Among the reserve's inhabitants was Snow White, a young woman with pale skin and dark hair, her nickname earned from her striking appearance and gentle spirit. She'd come to this place driven by a deep love for the wild, her days spent tending to its creatures. It was she who first noticed the signs of newcomers, large paw prints pressed into the earth near a winding river. Intrigued and cautious, she decided to watch over them from a distance, ensuring their safety without intruding. In those initial days, the male lion's roars pierced the night, a bold proclamation of his claim over this unfamiliar land. The female, still acclimating, paced restlessly, her unease evident in her shifting steps. Snow White observed them quietly, her keen eyes tracking their every move. Though worn from their trek, the lions retained their strength, bringing down small prey like antelopes and hares. As she watched, Snow White noticed something peculiar. The female's movements slowed at times, her stride heavier than it should have been. She suspected the lioness might be pregnant, a theory bolstered by the male's protective hovering. The idea stirred a mix of excitement and apprehension within her. A cub would be a precious addition to this wild haven, a testament to life enduring against the odds. Months passed, and the lioness's condition became unmistakable. Her belly grew round, her gait lumbered, and Snow White began preparing for the unexpected. She tucked basic medical supplies into her patrol vehicle, a precaution against emergencies she hoped wouldn't come. She tracked the lioness's habits closely, noting her rest periods, her meals, and the male's watchful demeanor. Snow White longed for a smooth birth, a quiet victory for the reserve's wild heart, but that hope shattered when the lioness faltered. For 2 excruciating days, she writhed in agony, her moans echoing across the plains. The male circled her anxiously, his restlessness a mirror to her suffering. Snow White, watching from her vehicle, felt her chest tighten. Without aid, the lioness, and perhaps her unborn cub, might not survive. Yet intervention carried risks. Sedating her so near to birth could harm her, and tranquilizing the male might drive her to flee or attack. Snow White steeled herself, her resolve outweighing her fear. "I have to help," she whispered, her voice steady despite the danger. She drove closer, the engine's low hum drawing the male lion's gaze. He roared, his mane flaring, his eyes blazing with fierce intent. The lioness lay still, her strength ebbing, her whimpers soft as contractions gripped her. Snow White stepped from the vehicle, medical kit in hand, her heart pounding against her ribs. The grassland stretched endlessly around her, a vast stage for this fragile moment. The male growled, advancing to shield his mate, but he didn't strike. Perhaps he sensed her purpose wasn't to harm, but to heal. Moving with deliberate calm, Snow White spoke softly, her voice a soothing thread in the charged air. "It's all right," she murmured, edging toward the lioness. The lioness's pain-clouded eyes met hers, and for an instant a silent understanding passed between them. With steady hands, Snow White administered a birthing aid, a gentle injection to ease the labor and lend the lioness strength. The male rumbled, stepping nearer, but held his ground, his gaze wary yet restrained. Snow White retreated a few paces, giving the medicine time to work. For nearly 2 hours the lioness struggled, her body trembling with effort. Then, at last, a tiny cub emerged, a fragile, wriggling life born into the wild. The male approached, licking the newborn with tender care, while the lioness panted, her exhaustion laced with a radiant joy. Snow White's breath caught as the cub stirred, its faint cries breaking the silence. She checked it swiftly, ensuring its health, then gave the lioness a tonic to bolster her recovery. The male's eyes flicked to her, softer now, almost thankful. She stepped back, leaving the little family to bond. The cub nestled against its mother, who purred as she cleaned it with gentle licks. From her vehicle, Snow White watched, her heart swelling with quiet pride. She named the male Dakar, meaning strength, the lioness Sana for resilience, and the cub Lumi, a symbol of light and new beginnings. As she drove away, she glanced back at the lions framed against the setting sun, their image searing into her memory. Tears pricked her eyes, not from sorrow, but from the weight of what she'd done, saved a life, preserved a family. It was a moment she'd carry forever, a story etched in the wild's embrace. Word of Sana's safe delivery rippled through the reserve, a triumph Snow White held close. The next day, she passed by again. Dakar and Sana stood atop a grassy rise, Lumi stumbling at his mother's feet, peering at the world with wide-eyed wonder. Dakar no longer growled at her approach. A tentative trust had taken root. Snow White believed this family would thrive here, cradled by the reserve's protection. She continued her work, but Lumi's birth remained a beacon, a proof of what courage could achieve in the face of nature's trials. Time rolled on, and Lumi grew, learning to hunt beside Sana and roaring alongside Dakar to stake his claim. They became a living emblem, prose of hope, their tale a whisper among those who cherish the wild. Dakar stood proud, Sana endured, and Lumi flourished, their lives a quiet symphony against the green expanse. Whenever Snow White's vehicle rolled by, the lions turned their heads, their eyes meeting hers in silent recognition. She'd smile, recalling the day she'd risked all to bring Lumi into being. At dawn, the family rested, a testament that even in the wild, human hands could weave miracles into the fabric of nature. As the sun dipped low, Dakar's roar thundered across the plains, a declaration of strength and survival. Sana nuzzled Lumi, nurturing the next chapter of their legacy. Snow White returned to her base, her spirit lifted by the knowledge that this family, born of struggle, saved by her daring, would greet her again. Their gratitude lingered in the air, a quiet bond forged across the divide of species. The wind carried the scent of grass and the echo of wild music, stars lighting the path she'd walked. There, Lumi slept in his mother's embrace, Dakar keeping watch, and Snow White knew her mission was complete. A single life preserved, a family made whole, a story to echo through the wild for years to come.